My fiancé and my elder brother both deeply love my stepsister. At a palace banquet filled with nobility, they conspired to frame me for losing my virtue. She's just a filthy woman. Amidst the accusations from countless people, my stepsister's tears fell in large drops. Sister. She just had a momentary lapse of judgment. I beg you all not to speak of what happened today. My stepsister's beauty became renowned throughout the capital, yet I was forced to take my own life, and in despair, I set fire to the Duke's residence, perishing together with everyone else. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day of my coming-of-age ceremony. My stepsister slapped herself hard across the face, then smiled at me. Sister, have you thought about how you'll apologize in front of everyone later? I snapped instantly. Grabbing her collar, I rained slaps upon her face while tearing her clothes. You love playing the victim so much. Let me show you what real victimhood looks like. Go ahead. Go tell everyone I'm going to smash your lying mouth to pieces. Hello, everyone, welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now the story begins. Memories from my past life's final moments, the excruciating pain of being burned alive. Through the crimson haze of agony, I spotted my half-sister about to escape under my brother's protection, so I grabbed a stool and charged, smashing both their skulls. Die, all of you. I opened my eyes again, still dazed. I heard lively voices not far away. Before me stood my half-sister Heroine, wearing a slightly worn goose-yellow Ruchuan dress. Smiling at me, she slapped herself while laughing and asked me, Sister, guess who everyone will believe later, you or me? I suddenly understood. So this was the day of my coming-of-age ceremony, the beginning of my previous life, when everyone believed I bullied my stepsister. Seeing me frozen in place, my half-sister laughed even more mockingly. Have you thought about how you'll apologize to me in front of everyone later? The unresolved hatred from my past life burned fiercely in my heart. I rushed forward, kicked her squarely in the stomach, and pinned her to the ground beneath me. Amidst her muffled cries of pain, I rained blows upon her face from both sides until it turned purple and swollen. Blood trickling from the corners of her mouth. A mere slap and you want to frame me? Here, let me give you some more solid evidence. Heroine struggled and screamed like a mad woman, her 10 fingernails digging deep into my wrists, yet she couldn't make me stop. Instead, I tore her clothes apart ruthlessly. She cried incoherently, Sister, I was wrong. I sneered. If you're stumbling over your words now, you'd better speak smoothly when you go tattling later, since fate has given me a second chance at life. Whether it's the reputation of the Duke's mansion or the young mistress's good name, none of it matters anymore. I will smash everyone who has wronged me. In my past life, I died during what should have been the happiest time of my existence. It was when the emperor had just granted my marriage to Ma Zhuming, the illegitimate son of the minister of ceremonies whom I'd long admired. Wearing my favorite blue pleated skirt, I attended the palace banquet. Then he declared to everyone, I would rather die than marry a licentious woman like Yichinga. He personally led the way. Heading toward a secluded side chamber rarely visited by people, when the door was pushed open, I was engaged in marital relations with another man. Heroine rushed out of the crowd. She stood blocking my way, tears streaming down her face. Sister was just momentarily confused. Her nature is truly pure. I beg everyone not to spread what happened today, or else Sister won't be able to face anyone. If anyone asks, say it was me who did these things today. I can't stand by and watch my sister's reputation be ruined. All the noble lords and ladies were present, and her scandal spread through the capital in an instant. Several young masters from prominent families who were close to my brother were the first to speak. They say the eldest daughter of the Duke's household frequents male brothels. It seems the rumors were true. Not long ago, someone saw the young mistress sneaking off to a clinic outside the city walls. Probably contracted some filthy disease from all that debauchery, don't you think? Many noble ladies couldn't bear to watch any longer, spitting at me before turning away. A woman's reputation is paramount, especially among powerful families. Upon returning home, my father demanded I take my own life. Beneath overwhelming hatred, I set fire to the Duke's mansion. From heaven to hell, just overnight, as my thoughts returned, I stopped my hand. Heroine lay dying on the ground. Her once delicate and pretty face was now swollen and distorted. I laughed heartily. Go cry, go play the victim, use this face to tell those noble young masters how I've bullied you. The final syllable rose abruptly. I recalled the excruciating pain of flames melting my flesh in my past life, and with that memory, I drew my golden hairpin and slashed her face. Only then did I rise, satisfied. On my way to the front hall, I encountered another stepsister, Heroine. Sister, why are you so late? Everyone's been waiting for you, I said indifferently.
Ah.
Just bullied a weak and innocent little sister, that's all. Her eyes widened. What? Without changing my expression, I replied, when someone accuses you of bullying others with your power, you might as well actually do it. Qingzi was completely baffled. I walked forward with her when we unexpectedly met Ma Zhuming. He was merely the illegitimate son of a fourth-rank assistant minister of the Court of Imperial Sacrifices. Yet the entire capital knew he was the beloved of He Qingge, the legitimate daughter of our duke's household. Ma Zhuming's gaze settled on my face, then drifted vaguely behind me. Qingge, why so late? Has Qingwan not arrived yet? In my past life, He Qingwan would always throw mud at me. Under the guise of considering the bigger picture, he would always make me apologize to her and sweep things under the rug. It seemed like he cared for me, but in reality, he was cementing my reputation as someone who bullied my stepsister. At this thought, I raised my hand and slapped him hard across the face. Qingzi, Ma Zhuming's expression showed not the slightest crack, though a flash of anger passed through his eyes. It was immediately replaced with tender affection. He reached out to smooth my disheveled hair, tousled from excessive force. What's wrong? Are you unhappy? In my past life, I didn't realize until the moment of death. Ma Zhuming was once abandoned by his father at the frontier, left to fend for himself for a time. There, he met a gentle and caring young girl. She flew kites with him and brought him delicious pastries. She was the only sunshine in his life. This son is none other than He Qingwan. Moreover, on the very day He Qingwan returned to the capital, he sought her out. He resented me even more than He Qingwan did for occupying this legitimate daughter's position, yet constrained by his lowly status, he had no choice but to swallow his pride and desperately curry favor with me, because he needed to marry a noblewoman like me to consolidate his position within the family and advance his official career. Thinking of this, I said, from now on, don't come looking for me again. Our relationship ends here. His pupils trembled violently. Why, Qingge, I admire you so deeply. I took out a handkerchief and wiped the strands of hair he had touched. I don't want anything to do with an incestuous bastard, too filthy. After parting ways with Ma Zhuming, Qingzi asked me with genuine concern, Sis, are you running a fever? I choked up, though her suspicion didn't surprise me, because in my past life, I'd been utterly infatuated with Ma Zhuming. Wherever he appeared, I would inevitably follow. To give him a sachet for the Qixi festival, my hands, unaccustomed to needlework, were pricked full of needle marks. Even the stray dog at the street corner knew of my burning affection, but times have changed. That He Qingge, brimming with boundless love, is long dead. Now standing here is a demon crawled out from the fiery hell. On the day of the coming-of-age banquet, He Qingwan never showed up again. Of course she wouldn't appear. I knew her most prized possession was that innocent face of hers, pure as a baby rabbit's. She wouldn't make her move unless she could exploit it to the fullest. I waited patiently. Soon it was father's 40th birthday. The birthday of a duke must be celebrated with grandeur and great fanfare. Father received high-ranking officials and close friends who came to offer congratulations in the front hall. Lanterns hung high throughout the mansion, illuminating the halls bright as day. Clad in my newly tailored pomegranate red skirt, I walked along the corridor toward the front hall. From afar, I spotted my elder brother He Qingyuan standing at the entrance, dressed in luxurious blue robes. He called out to me with indifferent composure, He Qingge, come here. I walked over. He turned a blind eye to Ma Zhuming's inscrutable gaze, and He Qingwan's tearful eyes behind him, with a faint smile, brother, why didn't you receive the distinguished guests with father? Were you waiting for me? He Qingyuan fixed me with a sharp glare. Bullying your own sisters, He Qingge. Since when has the Duke's mansion tolerated such behavior? His voice wasn't particularly loud, but neither was it any softer than usual. For a moment, quite a few guests present had their attention drawn. Brother, what are you talking about? Why can't your little sister understand? I gave He Qingwan a teasing glance. Which beloved sister have I bullied? Surely not Qingwan. You dare talk back after doing wrong. In the Duke's residence, mistakes come with consequences. Today, I'll discipline you properly on father's behalf. As he spoke, an attendant handed him a ruler. He Qingyuan stared at me and enunciated each word, kneel. Many curious glances were cast across the spacious front hall. Bullying her own sisters, the eldest daughter of the Duke's household would stoop to such behavior. Oh well. She's the legitimate daughter after all, bound to be a bit spoiled. Thank goodness her elder brother intervened to handle matters impartially. Under He Qingwan's triumphant and provocative gaze, I straightened my back, with a sweet smile. Brother, have you lost your mind, framing your own family in public? You wouldn't. Have some ulterior motive, would you? I gave him a critical once-over and dropped my smile. I kneel to royalty above and parents below, with our parents still alive. What exactly are you scheming? Or perhaps, brother, you could bite your tongue and die right now, and I'll kowtow 3 times for you on the spot. He Qingyuan's face darkened abruptly. He Qingwan spoke with a sob in her voice. Sister, I know you've never liked me, but even if you always bully me, how could you speak so disrespectfully to brother? Her eyes misted over as she deliberately widened them, adopting the simple and innocent expression of a child. Ma Zhuming saw it from the side. His eyes darkening. After a moment, he spoke softly. Qingge, admitting mistakes promptly is enough. No one will blame you. I pretended not to understand. Huh? Is there a dog barking? Enough. He Qingyuan scolded sharply. He Qingge, you're a lady of good breeding. Do you even know how to write the word shame? Who taught you such filthy language? You're utterly lacking in manners. He's still the same as before. No matter what I say, he won't believe me. Only strong prejudice keeps trampling me into the mud, over and over. I curled my lips in a mocking laugh. Who's been with me the longest since childhood? It's you, my dear brother, who's especially fond of He Qingwan. Is this affection truly just brotherly love for a sister? In my past life, I had always regarded He Qingyuan with both reverence and fear. 5 years my senior, he was like a stern elder brother akin to my father in my eyes. During my childhood, when my father was preoccupied with court affairs, it was he who took charge of disciplining me. The slightest mistake would earn a rap on the palm with a ruler, or punishment without meals. I wanted to keep the stray cat that had wandered into our home. He directly ordered the servant to toss the cat over the wall. You're the legitimate daughter of a duke's household. Don't indulge in frivolities that sap your ambition. Heartbroken, I sat beneath the wall and cried the entire afternoon. I was still too young back then. I thought all elder brothers were like this, not gentle or doting toward their younger sisters like others, until He Qingwan returned from the borderlands. I just found out, it wasn't that my brother didn't know how to be gentle. It's just that the person he wants to be gentle with isn't me. I've seen him personally deliver bird's nest soup to He Qingwan, repeatedly reminding her during her menstrual cycle, don't eat anything cold, keep yourself warm. I've also seen He Qingwan unable to walk past a filthy stray dog on the street, and him picking up the dog without hesitation. If you like it, we'll take it home. When He Qingwan got drunk secretly and threw a tantrum about not going to bed, he patiently coaxed her, his eyes brimming with tenderness. In my past life, I was always confused about why my brother didn't love me, why Ma Zhuming didn't love me. Only after dying once did I have a profound awakening. First and foremost, I must love myself. Secondly, I don't need love from trash at all. My confrontation with He Qingyuan drew too much attention. My father stepped in and interrupted us. When the banquet ended, he saw off all the guests with a beaming smile. He Qingwan resorted to her old tricks again, continuing to play the victim before her father. Her grandmother spoke sternly, right or wrong, your father will decide for himself. There's no need for you to repeat it. He Qingwan was silenced, tears welling up as she looked at He Qingyuan. Her father spoke with authority. Speak, what happened? Seeing He Qingyuan about to speak, I preempted him. On my coming-of-age banquet day, Qingwan inexplicably slapped herself, then insisted it was me who hit her. Only later did I learn it was because my brother told Qingwan she should become the most honored daughter of the duke's household. He Qingyuan, standing nearby, suddenly lifted his head to look at me, his eyes filled with shock. Quite surprising, isn't it, brother? I actually noticed your relationship with He Qingwan long ago. With reddened eyes and a choked voice, I said, actually, I don't blame Qingwan, it's just a coming-of-age ceremony, nothing that important, I'm just sad. Why does brother favor Qingwan so much? After living under the same roof with that white lotus for so long, I've picked up a trick or two myself. Amidst my intermittent sobs, father decisively concluded, enough, regardless of who bullied whom, this matter ends here. If this escalates and spreads, it will damage the reputation of the duke's household. From now on, no one is to mention this matter again. In the days that followed, I began openly humiliating He Qingwan. They withheld her monthly allowance, leaving her unable to afford new clothes. When the weather turned cold, they deliberately withheld charcoal from her. Go on, go complain to your dear brother, isn't that what you're best at? Both her brother and father held official posts and didn't permanently reside in the estate. I laughed with reckless abandon. She looked up at me, her eyes brimming with barely suppressed venom. In the end, she had no choice but to apologize through tears. I'm sorry, sister. I'm sorry, if I've done anything to displease you, just tell me, I'll change, I promise. please, your very existence displeases me." I looked at her innocently. "What should we do? How do you want to change? Do you need your sister to sponsor you with a white silk cord?" Her expression froze, unable to utter a word. Finally, she lowered her head and continued crying. My mood was exceptionally pleasant. Turns out being a bullying villainess feels this satisfying. When father returned, she would naturally seize the opportunity to complain. I was summoned to the study, where I tearfully recounted all the times she had framed me before. She twisted right and wrong, deliberately claiming I bullied her, tarnishing your daughter's reputation. How can I ever show my face again? Woo-woo, even now. Your daughter's heart aches terribly, haunted by nightmares every night. The physician diagnosed me with heart sickness, and now I must take medicine daily. Finally, it was father who ended up comforting me softly. The entire household, even the whole capital, could see how much I despised this younger sister. Qingzi couldn't understand. "Elder sister, why do you suddenly dislike second sister so much? Did she do something wrong?" I tilted my head and gave her a wicked smile. "What's the matter? Isn't it perfectly normal for an influential eldest sister from a prestigious maternal family to bully an ordinary younger half-sister?" Qingzi rolled her eyes at me. "The more I criticize you, the more spirited you become. If we're talking about illegitimate sisters with humble backgrounds, in this entire duke's residence, who could possibly have a lower status than my mother, shouldn't you be directing your efforts at me then? Even the servants in the mansion look down on my mother for being a singing girl, constantly shortchanging us on food and supplies. If not for you, sister, I probably couldn't participate in any activity requiring more than one tael of silver. Young as I am, my heart isn't blind." I let out a sigh. "Some are young in years, yet clear-eyed and sharp-witted. Some stand tall at 8 feet, yet blindfolded and deafened. My own flesh and blood brother, and the lover who bared his soul to me." I offered sincerity, but was repaid with a blade. The Chongyang flower banquet would take place in 3 months. In her previous life, He Qingwan had performed an exceptionally difficult piece called Night Chant at the banquet, arranged by He Qingyuan and Ma Zhuming. Her performance earned widespread admiration, significantly elevating her status among the noble ladies of the capital. And me, from childhood, I had mastered all the refined arts: music, chess, calligraphy, and painting, but dancing was my greatest talent. I had originally planned to perform a long-sleeve dance at the banquet, but then Ma Zhuming found me under the lush green willow tree. He drew close, his gaze tender. "Chinga, please don't dance, all right? You're too beautiful when you dance. I don't want other men to see you. Just dance for me alone, won't you?" The glaring jealousy in his words made me dizzy. No wonder people can't stand love-struck fools. I was acting like a complete idiot. My heart was bursting with sweetness, thinking how much he cared for me. So on the day of the banquet, I feigned illness and stayed home, in my own courtyard. Dressed in long water sleeves, I danced for him again and again. A snow-white pigeon flew onto the wall, strikingly vivid against the dark blue bricks. Seeing this, Ma Zhuming smiled knowingly. He's always been exceptionally gentle and subtle around me, even the angle of his smile barely lifting the corner of his mouth. It was the first time I'd seen his smile reach his eyes, so I asked him cheerfully, "Well, did I dance particularly well?" His gaze paused briefly before nodding. I genuinely thought he was dazzled by me. It wasn't until much later that I found out his joy came from He Qingwan's success with Midnight Chant. That pigeon was a prearranged signal between him and my brother. His light, his son, would become the most sought-after noble lady in the capital. I still chose to perform the long-sleeve dance, but this time, I wasn't dancing alone. There were 6 sisters in our family. Apart from He Qingwan, I had put the others through rigorous training. I'm extremely wealthy, spending lavishly to buy the most expensive fabrics for dance costumes and hiring the most skilled craftsmen to make hair ornaments. In comparison, He Qingwan's zither performance seemed rather unremarkable on such an important occasion. He Qingyuan naturally rushed back to support her younger sister. No doubt He Qingwan also embellished her story with a few dramatic tears. That day, He Qingyuan burst into my courtyard. "He Qinga," he stared at me coldly. "You're forbidden to attend the Chongyang flower banquet." I lazily took a bite of osmanthus cake. "Whose dog is barking? Must have come to the wrong door. Don't think I'm discussing this with you." His eyes grew darker. "You'd better obey, or there will be consequences." I leisurely finished the last bite of osmanthus cake, walked up to him, and stared mockingly into his eyes. "Your precious Wan, taught by the finest tutors for so many years, didn't even dare to stand on the same stage with me." As expected, trash always flocks together. A few days before the Chongyang flower banquet, I brought my sisters to the riverside to relax. Ma Zhuming came looking for me, Chinga. I was wrong about what happened last time, but you refused to accept my letters or see me. I'm so heartbroken, Chinga. Have you misunderstood me somehow, or is there someone else in your heart? As he spoke, his eyes shimmered with unshed tears, looking truly devastated. You promised me, Chinga, that I was the only one you loved. A sudden pang pierced my heart, followed by surging fury. There was a time when I loved him with all my heart and soul. Because he disliked me appearing before other men, I withdrew from countless high society gatherings. He said Qingwan was born in the borderlands and had suffered enough hardships, so I should be more accommodating toward her, and so I truly endured her repeated offenses, time and again. I believed that sincerity would inevitably be met with sincerity in return. In reality, what sincerity brought me was nothing but escalating trampling. I'm exhausted. A slap sent his left cheek askew. He turned his head, another slap landed on his right cheek. I summoned every ounce of strength I had. His fair complexion quickly flushed with 2 distinct red palm marks. I curled my lips. I know you've known He Qingwan since your time at the border. You like her so much, yet you put on this act of deep affection before me. Why? Because my usefulness hasn't been fully exploited yet, is that it? Your mother was far nobler than you. At least she remained faithful till the end. After being violated by her brother-in-law and giving birth to a bastard like you, she took her own life. Unlike you, dangling after one sister while groveling before another. Truly despicable. As the words landed, Ma Zhuming's pupils trembled violently, yet his lips pressed tightly together, unable to utter a single word. With a scornful smile, I gracefully walked away. At night, memories from my past life after death suddenly flooded my dreams. After knocking He Qingyuan and He Qingwan into the flames, He Qingyuan relied on his physical strength as a man to carry He Qingwan out of the fiery inferno. As for me, I perished in the raging flames. He Qingwan beyond the sea of fire was also barely breathing. Ma Zhuming anxiously called for the doctor. He pinned He Qingyuan to the ground, roaring accusations. How could you fail to protect her? He Qingyuan shoved him aside disdainfully and sneered. I agreed to share her with you and help secure your position in the family. You should be satisfied. Don't forget, you're the bastard child your father conceived by raping his widowed sister-in-law. Without me, you're no different from the lowest servant. Ma Zhuming trembled as he knelt on the ground. It wasn't you. He Qingyuan sneered. That's right. It wasn't me. It was He Qinga. But, you were the one who personally slipped the drug into her wine. Ma Zhuming froze where he stood. The flames behind greedily licked at everything. Moments later, He Qingwan stopped breathing completely. Ma Zhuming watched hopelessly at that small, charred face now unrecognizable, suddenly speaking calmly. It was me. I don't regret it. I jolted awake abruptly, gasping for air in great heaves. My undergarments were completely soaked through. Fine, you don't regret it. In this lifetime, you'll regret it. Regret it so deeply you'll wish you'd never been born. On the day of the Chongyang flower banquet, I arrived at the feast with my sisters in grand procession, only to find He Qingwan had already arrived first. She wore an expensive gold-woven skirt, with ruby hairpins that were clearly priceless. With her meager monthly allowance, needless to say, it must have been He Qingyuan's generous subsidy. Sister, don't think just because you're the privileged legitimate daughter, you'll never fall from grace. You've bullied me for so long. Did you really think I'd just take it lying down? I'll make your life a living hell. So what if you know about my relationship with Brother Zhuming? They'll still only love me. How pathetic you are, unable to earn anyone's love. She spoke with smug satisfaction, but I could only feel exasperated. Not all women are like you, treating men's affection as priceless treasures. I leaned close to her ear, and there will never be another woman like you, who commits incest with her own brother. Her face instantly changed color. How do He Qingyuan and Ma Zhuming plan to divide their time? Spend the first half of the night with one, and the second half with the other, with an expression of fearing contamination. I turned and walked away. The autumn sky was clear and refreshing, stretching cloudless for miles. After settling in, I suddenly noticed that the 5 tassels I'd prepared were now only 4. Did I leave one behind when I went out? Searching my memory carefully, I distinctly remembered taking all 5. So I decided to retrace my steps to check. Qingzi said, Sister, let me accompany you. There are too many prying eyes here. Who knows what ill-intentioned people might try? I smiled. You've been trembling nervously since we left the house. You should take a moment to calm yourself. My maid and I split up to search, gradually walking into a less traveled section of the road. I carefully clutched my water sleeves, afraid they might gather dust, yet not far ahead, I spotted a familiar figure. Dressed in dark robes, He stood in the shadows of the corner, blending seamlessly into them, eyes dark as the depths of a well. Ma Zhuming, his voice was low, throat thick with the gathering storm clouds before rain. Chinga, what are you searching for? Disturbance not welcome. I walked straight past him without a glance, only for my arm to be seized by tremendous force that yanked my entire body backward. My heart sank, fell right into his trap. Excruciating pain shot through my back. I was flung onto the bluestone pavement, tumbling several times before coming to a stop. Not a single soul was on the road. It seemed the area had been cleared. Gritting my teeth, I quickly got up. Before I could steady myself, I was violently thrown against the wall again. As I fell, excruciating pain shot through my ankle. I clenched my teeth and tried to stand up again, only to collapse once more from the piercing pain. Ma Zhuming stood nearby, watching my struggle with calm yet sorrowful eyes. When he spoke, his voice was choked with emotion. Chinga, don't blame me. Your mother comes from an illustrious family. You were born the legitimate daughter of a duke's household. Your life could never have turned out too poorly. But Qingwan is different. Her mother was just an ordinary peasant woman from the borderlands. She truly worked so hard to become better. Just let her have this one time. As his words fell, he seized my hair. I slammed my head hard against the wall beside me. Strangely enough, in this critical moment, I suddenly recalled the scene from my dream. Ma Zhuming and He Qingyuan wept bitterly together while looking at He Qingwan's corpse. For me, however, it was. I have no regrets. From childhood pigtails to the age of hairpins, a full 10 years, all my singular, wholehearted devotion, it was given to someone like him. I laughed at my own disgust. Just before he slammed my head against the wall, pulling out the hairpin, I stabbed it into his stomach. You bastard. The excruciating pain in my ankle made me gasp for breath, but I didn't hesitate for a second. Grabbing his topknot with all my strength, I smashed his head against the wall. A bastard born of incest shouldn't have been brought into this world. Ma Zhuming's head struck the blue brick wall with a dull thud. He weakly slid down along the wall, leaving behind a vivid streak of blood. Blood flowed down his face, blurring his vision. Ching Ji, gasping heavily for air, I leaned against the wall and struggled to my feet. My ankle was badly swollen, sending waves of excruciating pain. I really couldn't dance anymore, but I teased Ma Zhuming, whose face was contorted in agony. You're truly infatuated, willing to risk yourself just to give your dear one a helping hand, but I never intended to win first place anyway. This dance was arranged entirely by me for my younger sisters. They performed the long-lost Spring Orioles song. I wanted all my sisters to astonish everyone at once and become honored guests among the capital's elite. After all, we are one family. Prosperity and decline are shared by all. How could anyone not understand such a simple truth? You must be the price He Qingyuan demanded of me. So early on, you'd already decided to serve two masters. How despicable. I left Ma Zhuming behind and discreetly returned to the banquet hall. From afar, the melodious sound of a zither drifted into my ears. He Qingyuan had clearly put in great effort. It was remarkable how she could play such an ordinary hymn with such divine mastery. She sat on the stage, dressed in a pure white floor-length gown. The surroundings were empty, only her long hair fluttering in the wind, giving her the ethereal appearance of a fairy detached from the mortal world, exactly the same as in her previous life, with that harmless demeanor. Yet her feet were firmly trampling on my flesh and blood, covered in blood and filth. I limped forward. The guards recognized me as the legitimate daughter of the Duke's household. Seeing me in such a state, they froze momentarily. I knelt before the platform, interrupting He Qingyuan's zither performance with my wails. Whoa, how cruel you are, sister. How dare you send someone to beat me? I knew the Empress was staring at me in shock. In my past life, she had held He Qingyuan in high regard. Believing her to be virtuous and noble, she had even specially expressed during a banquet her wish for He Qingyuan to enter the palace and keep her company. He Qingyuan expressed her gratitude. This was merely her first step toward becoming the legitimate daughter of the Duke's household. Later, under He Qingyuan's arrangements, she became the sole study companion of the eldest princess. As for me, I was merely visiting the princess's residence with my girlfriends. I'll go in the afternoon and return after dinner. I merely glanced at He Qingyuan a few times in between. That evening, while taking down my hairpins and tidying up in my room, He Qingyuan suddenly barged in. Looking down at me imperiously, he said, He Qingga, even cruelty should have its limits. You're jealous that Qingyuan has won the princess's favor. Normally you'd humiliate her. Fine, but must you also smash the only jade bracelet her mother left her? What a venomous woman. I froze. Instinctively opening my mouth to defend myself, he cut me off with utter disgust. I despise liars most of all. Hichinga, you truly disgust me. The hall fell into complete silence, until the Grand Princess exclaimed in surprise, "Good heavens, her ankle is bleeding," disheveled hair, swollen and bleeding ankles. This was the pitiful state in which the eldest daughter of a duke publicly presented herself. Every unconventional point comes together, making the authenticity of my words unshakable. Hichingwan's face turned pale as she rose weakly like a willow swaying in the wind. Her gaze toward me flashed with deep-seated malice before instantly reverting to the innocent expression of a 3-year-old flower. "Sister, what are you talking about? How could I possibly understand? This is the Chongyang flower banquet. How dare you barge in like this? Have you no respect for His Majesty and Her Majesty the Queen?" Hiching Yuan stood up furiously. "Hichinga, have you lost your mind?" I rose and walked onto the stage, covered in bloodstains, forming a stark contrast with the spotless Hichingwan. Tears welled up in my eyes as I stared at her. "Little sister, you ruined my coming-of-age ceremony, sowed discord between me and our eldest brother, and spread rumors of me bullying you. All of which I endured silently, but how could you arrange for Ma Zhuming, the illegitimate son of the Vice Minister of the Court of Imperial Sacrifices, to break my leg? Were you afraid I'd steal your spotlight today?" Collapsed on the ground in uncontrollable sobs, I looked up at her bloodless face. "Little sister, if you feared you couldn't best me, you only needed to say the word. I wouldn't have come. After all, eldest brother dotes on you especially. How would I dare compete with you?" The hall erupted in commotion. Everyone was whispering among themselves. In the end, the emperor made the decision to have both me and Hichingwan taken away, assuring that the matter would be dealt with accordingly. Qingzi, however, chased after us, tear stains still visible at the corners of her eyes. "Sister, I'm sorry. I should have gone with you." I shook my head with a smile. "Sister is fine." He leaned closer and whispered in her ear, "It doesn't actually hurt much. I was just acting." Unexpectedly, this made the girl cry even harder. I quickly took out a handkerchief to gently wipe her tears. "You're supposed to go dance next. How can you go on stage crying like this?" The Chongyang flower banquet has a long-standing tradition. If one could emerge victorious among the noble ladies, even a daughter of concubine status could become the principal wife of a crown prince or imperial prince. I watched Qingzi and my younger sister's retreating figures, exhaling in relief, then the excruciating pain in my body suddenly became imperceptible. Darkness swallowed my vision as I lost consciousness. I awoke in my own bedchamber. I leaned against the bedside, sipping bird's nest milk in small sips, when Hiching Yuan burst in. "Hichinga, how could you be so vicious, you poisonous woman, utterly poisonous?" I marveled at his limited vocabulary. Hichingwan's birth mother was the wife of a borderland farmer. Truly shameful. He had originally planned to take it step by step, elevating Hichingwan to a high position. Once I was pulled down, it would be natural to push her into the position of the legitimate daughter. Just like delicately lifting a delicate flower trapped in mud, washing it clean, and placing it on an unattainably noble pedestal, he derived unparalleled satisfaction from this process. "But dear brother, how could I let you have your way?" I imitated Hichingwan's smile, grinning like a little white rabbit. "Oh dear, brother, I wonder how Ma Zhuming is doing." I poked a little hole in his belly. As I burst into laughter, I accidentally tugged at my wound, grimacing in pain. In Hiching Yuan's shocked pupils, I saw my own expression reflected, like a demon emerging from hell. Perhaps, ever since my death in the previous life, I've already been a demon clawing my way up from hell. Hiching Yuan's facial muscles twitched with rage, then suddenly stilled, still wearing that same haughty expression. "Utterly foolish. Even if Qingwan hadn't succeeded, so what? You still couldn't dance, and instead made a complete spectacle of yourself before all the noble young masters. From now on, what respectable man of equal standing would dare marry you? I've already suggested to father that you should never leave the house again." Pfft, I laughed. "Go out. Do you really think I care about mingling with your bunch of pretty-faced fools?" Hiching Yuan, "Don't forget, I'm the legitimate eldest daughter of the duke, inherently of the noblest status, and you, a worthless playboy with nothing but an empty reputation. How long do you think you can stop me? From the very beginning, I've had only one goal, to drag that bastard down, nothing more. Every false accusation she made against me in my past life, I'll turn them all into reality. All the glory she gained in her previous life, I'll snuff it out step by step. This is just the beginning." My dear sister, the legitimate daughter of the duke's mansion, covered in wounds, denounced her half-sister at the Chongyang flower banquet while hinting at the elder brother's impropriety. The rumors were spreading like wildfire. The power struggles between legitimate and illegitimate heirs among noble families had always been juicy gossip for common folk, most of the time. People instinctively sided with the underdog, but my clearly articulated words and unbearable to look at wounds told another story, and the heartbreaking sobs, her frail appearance on the verge of fainting. Many people stood on my side. They all say Hichinga constantly bullies the stepsister. But she has so many sisters, why would she only pick on this one? I heard this sister was born to a married woman. Is it because of birth? There are other sisters born to women from the pleasure quarters. At any rate, this matter is most likely true. As a legitimate daughter, would she go so far as to break her own foot just to frame a concubine-born sister? Qingzi and my other sisters have completely wasted all the effort I've put into planning for their benefit, fuming in the tea house. Sister Qingga treats us concubine-born sisters exceptionally well. She even divided the only box of precious honeycomb incense tribute from the western regions among us. How dare they say she bullied her younger sister? The whole town was abuzz with gossip. No one knew exactly what He Qingyuan had told their father. When I recovered from my injuries and went to pay respects to my father, he was extremely displeased with me. I've spoiled you too much. Are you determined to bring complete disgrace upon our duke's household? You are not to step outside our gates again. Once the scandal blows over, I will arrange a good marriage for you. I listened to all this numbly. I've never held any hope for my father. He enjoys chasing women everywhere, yet never takes responsibility when they bear his children. His eyes see only He Qingyuan, because this is his only son. In my past life, how could He Qingyuan's countless schemes have completely escaped his notice? But until my death, all he did was angrily curse. How could you tarnish the reputation of the duke's household? It doesn't matter anymore. I lowered my head to wipe away tears. If father commands it, your daughter naturally obeys. Only, I am unfilial and wish to go to Prajna temple to fast and chant Buddhist scriptures for 3 years, praying for father's health and longevity. Both of them were stunned. Father said, "Haven't you always enjoyed lively gatherings?" I continued weeping, my handkerchief thoroughly soaked. Father, please grant your daughter this act of filial piety. He Qingyuan opened his mouth to protest again. Father raised his hand to silence him, gazing at me intently. If that's your wish, then I shall grant it. I packed my things preparing to leave. Ma Zhuming's stomach wound hadn't healed properly yet, and he was still lying in bed. He Qingyuan sent him a comforting letter saying it was all your fault, that he wouldn't have been so badly injured if not for you. Qingzi complained while helping me pack my belongings. I've truly seen it all now. He wanted to stab someone, ended up getting stabbed himself, and then blames the other person for not standing still to be stabbed. I think this shameless couple has diarrhea leaking into their brains. I looked at Qingzi in shock. She really knows how to curse someone out. The packages kept growing in number and size, so I asked, why so many things? Before Qingzi could answer, fourth sister chimed in, the temple is so simple, with elder sister going away for 3 whole years, how can she not take everything she needs? The other sisters also piped up. Elder sister has always loved meat, eating nothing but vegetable leaves every day would be the death of her. These 20 pounds of beef jerky and 20 pounds of pork jerky, I wonder if they'll even last 3 months, and all the seasonal clothes, which piece can you possibly leave behind? And brown sugar, you must boil some when your monthly course has come. The mountain of packages piled before me. My younger sisters exchanged glances until Qingzi finally spoke. Elder sister, what is it? We've all felt you're different from before, as if you've learned something heartbreaking. But remember, we're all standing by your side. 4 pairs of eyes stared at me intently. Sister, if there's anything you need help with, you must tell us. The day before leaving, I went to bid farewell to my grandmother. She held my hand and sighed deeply. I squeezed her hand back with a mischievous grin. Grandmother, don't worry, look at me. I'm eating so well I'm practically sturdy. In my past life, grandmother had passed away suddenly from heart disease while she was alive. No matter how much father favored others, He Qingyuan wouldn't have dared to try killing me. At this thought, my heart felt as if struck by a heavy blow. In the later years of my previous life, rumors had already circulated about the improper relationship between siblings He Qingyuan and He Qingyuan. Though grandmother was advanced in years, she had always been in good health. Could it be, her death was not as it seemed? My heart pounded violently as I unconsciously tightened my grip on grandmother's hand. Grandmother, if you hear any unpleasant rumors, just pretend you didn't hear them, remember. Always have someone test any food before you eat it, even if it comes from brother. Grandmother froze for a moment, then said haltingly, "My Chinga, you're not the same as before." She lowered her head sorrowfully. "Your mother died young, and your father never took responsibility. It's been hard on you. You used to be so foolish, insisting on marrying that minor official's illegitimate son. When I tried to stop you, you said I didn't understand love, on your birthday. When I tried to secure you the medicinal herb franchise north of town, you refused. All you wanted was that hairpin made from Eastern Sea Dragon pearls. How I despaired of your lack of ambition. Now, you've truly grown up." Grandmother feels heartache again, wondering what exactly you've been through. "You silly girl, to become so sensible. In this world, the person who loves me most and understands me best must be grandmother. In my past life, I was a complete fool. Seeing only goodness in everyone, that's why I fell victim to He-Ching-Wan's schemes time and again, never seriously considering her ulterior motives, until the very end, dying amidst raging flames. Don't worry, grandmother." I threw myself into her embrace and comforted her softly. "Chinga has grown up and knows how to protect herself. As long as I kill all those who wish to harm me." Dressed in plain white robes, I stood before the gates of Prajna Temple at the age of 15. Prajna Temple was nestled deep in the mountains, exceptionally tranquil, especially at night when one could often hear the roars of wolves, tigers, and leopards, but I was not afraid at all, because I knew that Her Majesty the Empress would soon come to Prajna Temple to pray for blessings for the child that had died unborn in her womb. No more, no less, exactly 3 years. But this wasn't the most important thing. What mattered most was that 3 years later, the Lin City Dam would collapse. In his previous life, He-Ching-Yuan and the third prince had gained the emperor's trust precisely through their meritorious disaster relief efforts and dam reconstruction. He was the third prince's most trusted confidant. In the coming years, the third prince would assist him in gradually undermining his father's authority until he finally inherited the title. I diligently managed the estate my grandmother had given me, leveraging memories from my past life to seize several crucial turning points, increasing revenue by several times over. Then, with the money, I expanded my business operations while scouring the world for rare treasures and curiosities. I generously funded ministers who would later hold important positions in the court, but were still in humble circumstances at the time. During my time at the temple, Qingzi often wrote to me. She said all the sisters missed me dearly. She also mentioned that ever since they won the emperor and empress's admiration at the Chongyang flower banquet, even their father, who had never deigned to glance their way before, had become affectionate toward them. Some time ago, during the Empress Dowager's birthday celebration, He-Ching-Wan also went to dance, but before she could finish, the Empress Dowager was already frowning. Everyone says He-Ching-Wan's dancing can't even compare to He-Chinga's casual swaying. Look at her flushed face and bulging neck, utterly satisfying. That's right, Prince Shenyang came proposing marriage, wanting to make me his principal consort. I was copying Buddhist scriptures in frustration when this letter arrived. Overjoyed, I immediately picked up my brush to write back. My sister's graceful demeanor is truly worthy of such an outstanding man. The Prince of Xiangyang is handsome as a jade tree in the wind, young and accomplished, undoubtedly an excellent match. Grandmother also wrote to me from time to time, updating me on He-Ching-Yuan's recent activities and asking how I'd been lately, whether I'd gone mad from lack of meat. I answered truthfully that I was craving meat to the point of madness, but had to restrain myself. If the Empress discovered I'd been sneaking bites, all my efforts would be wasted. Grandmother sighed. My Chinga has grown up and learned to endure, but you can always eat under the covers. If there's anything inconvenient for you to do, tell your grandmother, I'll handle it. So I asked grandmother to investigate the third prince, along with some other things I remembered. Remember, don't let word leak out. I sent my personal maid Xingji to Lincheng. While investigating near the Lincheng Dam, she happened to encounter Magistrate Hai, dressed in clothes covered with patches. Standing before him was a man dressed as a commoner, yet his eyes gleamed with sharp intelligence. Magistrate Hai pointed sternly at the dam, glaring angrily at him. Lincheng suffers frequent floods. Without this dam, the people would surely perish, corpses littering the land. The man forced a smile. The common folk are as numerous as hairs on an ox. How many can you possibly oversee, Lord Hai? Preposterous. Are you saying the thousands who died in Lincheng don't matter? What do you people take human lives for? Lord Hai was so furious that veins bulged on his forehead. Seeing his reaction, the man's expression darkened as he lowered his voice. Lord Hai, don't be ungrateful. Do you realize who you're standing against? It's your honor that his lordship has sought you out. Many would beg for such an opportunity, even if you're ignorant. You should at least think of your wife and children. If you expect this old man to condemn thousands to death, You might as well kill me now. Lord Hai gazed resolutely at the man. In short, as long as I draw breath. You won't lay a finger on the people of Lincheng. Go back and tell your master that those who commit many injustices will inevitably bring about their own downfall. Lord Hai turned and left without another word. The man remained standing where he was, tilting his head slightly as he stared at Lord Hai's retreating figure with piercing cold eyes. A murderous aura radiated from his entire being. Xingji lay sprawled across the tree branch when sudden understanding dawned upon her. She sought out the dam builders again and learned the structure was exceptionally sturdy. There wouldn't be any risk of breach even after another decade. I remember in our past life, He Qingwan once asked He Qingyuan how such a massive scheme could be executed without leaving traces. At that time, He Qingyuan affectionately pinched her cheek and laughed. Simple, make sure those who shouldn't talk never open their mouths again. My fingers tightened around the prayer beads. Minister Hai had always been renowned for his integrity and incorruptibility, yet in my past life, after the Lin City dam burst, no further news of him was ever heard. Out of reverence for Minister Hai, I managed to arrange a personal meeting with him, in a tiny tea house on the outskirts of Lincheng. He sat across from me, his face full of wariness. Miss He, this old man never imagined a woman would get involved in this matter. What's wrong with being a woman? He didn't respond directly, merely stating, tell your master to stop sending people over. This old man will never compromise. I gently blew on the steam rising from my teacup. You people are always busy scrambling for power and profit, treating human lives as worthless grass. This old man cares nothing for such things. I care only for the safety of common folk. Human lives are what truly matter. I stared straight at him as he spoke. Magistrate Hai's deeply wrinkled face bore a compassion akin to that of a bodhisattva. He was a rare and virtuous official. He should have lived 100 years, leaving a lasting legacy. Yet in his previous life, it was all because of two greedy men. He died entangled in their schemes and plots. Miss He, this old man has said his piece. If you've no further instructions, I shall take my leave. I reached out to stop him and said earnestly, Lord Hai, you've misunderstood me. My coming here isn't meant to plunge Lin City's people into peril. On the contrary, I'm here to save them. Only, I'll need you to do something for me. All right. The day I returned to the Duke's residence after completing my practice at Banruo Temple was a spring day when warmth and chill still alternated. I stepped into the largest tea house in the capital to rest for a while. The storyteller was praising He Qingwan's peerless beauty. All these years I've been busy casting nets, preparing to save the lives of hundreds in the Duke's household. When the crucial moment arrives, He Qingyuan wasn't idle either. At the Chongyang flower banquet, He Qingwan failed to make a stunning impression, nor did she manage to gain favor at the Empress Dowager's birthday celebration. Still, he found ways to build momentum for He Qingwan, ensuring the entire city sang her praises. I curled my lips mockingly. The carriage made its way through the bustling crowd, and from afar, I could see my younger sisters eagerly peering out from the doorway. Spotting me, they fluttered over like little sparrows. By then, with grandmother's support, I had taken full control of the city's medicinal herb trade. There wasn't a single rare ingredient imaginable that I couldn't obtain. Nothing was beyond my reach. That day, the shopkeeper told me a customer wanted 1,000-year-old ginseng. He'd already explained it wasn't for sale, but the other party became domineering and threatened to smash up the shop. I rubbed my temples and went to take a look. Then I met He Qingyuan's shocked gaze. He Qingga, you own this shop? I curled my lips into a smirk. Well, if it isn't my dear brother. Of course I couldn't bear to part with the 1,000-year ginseng, so I turned and walked away. He chased after me all the way, blocking my path. His voice brimmed with dissatisfaction and disbelief. Is Bayantang your shop? Was it grandmother who helped you, wasn't it? I scoffed. So easily triggered. Grandmother merely gave me some medicinal herbs. Are you really jealous of even that? As He Qingyuan's face flushed crimson with rage, I leaned in closer to him. Since birth, you've had access to all your father's resources and connections. Surely you're not still unsatisfied and planning to do something that would implicate your entire clan? His gaze suddenly turned sharp. I gave him a deep, meaningful look before walking away. Though commerce isn't highly regarded in our country, who in this world doesn't love money? My return this time was quite ostentatious. Everyone knew the largest security firm in the capital was under my name. I threw myself into lively social engagements, cultivating good relations with most of the noble families. With wealth to spare and generosity to match, I frequently gifted century-old ginseng and rare treasures. Everyone treated me with utmost respect. Not at all like my previous life, when I had no choice but to bow my head lightly just because of my father. Only what is firmly grasped in your own hands is truly substantial. I gazed admiringly at the 1,000-year-old ginseng and sighed with emotion. Qingzi beside me rested her chin on her hand and looked at me. Sister, you seem like a scheming old man. I rolled my eyes. What do you know? This is called maturity. I'm the legitimate daughter of the Duke's household. And already 18, how could I still act like some noisy little girl? With that, I turned to the jade shop proprietress downstairs and declared, 100 taels. I'll take that gold filigree hairpin adorned with pearls and 8 treasures. He Qingwan, standing opposite the proprietress, suddenly looked up. Even Ma Zhuming beside her turned his gaze toward me. The moment our eyes met, he momentarily froze. He Qingwan seemed about to curse at me, but Ma Zhuming gently tugged at her sleeve. I watched them with an amused smile, finding it quite entertaining. 120 taels, he said casually to the proprietress. I knew he had long promised this hairpin to He Qingwan. In a few days, it would be her birthday. Even if he had resorted to every possible means to barely secure some standing within the family, it was still far inferior to He Qingyuan, the legitimate son of the Duke. To vie for favor, he could only resort to flattery from all sides. 150 taels. I followed up, 200 taels, 300 taels, 500 taels. Seeing I didn't continue bidding, the shopkeeper's wife cheerfully wrapped up the goods. I smiled at Ma Zhuming and said, such profound affection, deep as the sea. He held the hairpin in his hand, gazing at me in silence. After a long pause, he softly called out, Qingge, my heart is severely wounded. It seems I'll have to stew this 1,000-year-old ginseng today. I dramatically patted my chest while looking down at him with disdain. What kind of creature are you? How dare you address this young lady by name? I've got nothing to say to you people. After all, I've only heard of poor farmers sharing an ox, but never of 2 men sharing 1 woman. The landlady's eyes gleamed with gossipy delight, the other customers' eyes also sparkled with curiosity. As soon as the 2 left, everyone crowded around eager for gossip. I hesitated before speaking. My brother and Ma Zhuming, they both sigh. It's not their fault. The blame lies solely with my sister Qingwan. She's just too captivating. The capital was in an uproar. The scandalous news about the 3 of them left everyone utterly shocked. I took the lead again in ostracizing He Qingwan within our circle. He Qingyuan couldn't possibly tolerate his beloved sister suffering such humiliation. He immediately lashed out at me. Perfect. I'd been waiting for him to do just that. Rumors about me began spreading widely in the capital. He Qingge bullies her half-sister. He Qingge spreads malicious gossip. He Qingwan suffers abuse. The rumors spread vividly, even dredging up incidents from years ago like the Chongyang flower banquet, claiming I deliberately sabotaged He Qingwan's musical performance. Even servants from the Duke's residence came forward to testify. That's right, the eldest young miss never liked the second young miss. She deliberately withheld her monthly allowance and frequently subjected her to beatings and scoldings. The servant wept openly at the marketplace. The eldest young miss was the legitimate daughter while the second young miss was born of a concubine. What could she do but endure such treatment? Later when things went too far, his lordship couldn't bear it anymore and sent her to a temple for repentance, but the dowager favored her and immediately handed over the management rights of the medicinal herbs to her. In an instant, accusations against me flooded in from all sides. Noble ladies who were close to me tactfully asked if I wanted to handle the situation. I understood. If this matter wasn't dealt with soon, my social connections would likely be severed completely. Don't worry. The good show won't keep you waiting long. I tossed fish food into the pond with calm composure. Pigs must be fattened before slaughter. He Qingwan still couldn't contain her impatience. She hates me even more than in her previous life, and now that my reputation is tarnished, she immediately jumps at the chance to attack me. While boating with several noble ladies, she brought up the matter. I spent my childhood in the borderlands. Such a poor place where having enough to eat was already fortunate, let alone learning to read and write. Looking back, it's truly humiliating. She mocked me for not even knowing how to write my own name. That year at the Chongyang flower banquet, I had prepared so earnestly for so long. After all those years of learning the zither, her voice was calm, yet tears streamed down her face uncontrollably. The city was abuzz again, everyone feasting on the gossip with great enthusiasm. He Qingwan truly had it hard, suffering alone at the border for so many years. What right does a spoiled rich girl like He Qingge, who knows nothing of hardship, have to bully others? She ought to be thrown to the border. Some people voiced dissent. She can't even afford meals at the border garrison, yet she has money to buy a zither. Then this person was publicly beaten. Needless to say, It was definitely arranged by those two little sycophants. That evening, my father summoned me to his study and sternly ordered me to hand over the management rights of Bowen Hall. You've spent 3 years at the temple with no improvement at all, yet just a few days after returning home, you've stirred up a storm throughout the city. Hand over Bowen Hall to your brother immediately and make a public apology to Qingwan. I looked at him calmly. Father, you've got it wrong. It was he Qingwan who caused trouble, not me. Didn't you bully Qingwan first? He slammed the desk and stood up. If you don't obey me this time, don't blame me for disowning you as my daughter. I couldn't help but laugh. Father, if it weren't for grandmother keeping the business afloat all these years, how could your meager official salary possibly sustain such extravagant living? Right now, I'm the wealthiest person in this household. Get this straight, I don't need you at all. It's you who's dependent on me. Soon enough, just like He Qingyuan, father threw his lot in with the third prince. I suppose he was provoked by me, and the third prince promised him wealth and honor once the deed was done. They began suppressing Bowen Hall, opening medicinal herb shops near Bowen Hall stores and luring away a large number of customers with low prices. My father even publicly declared he had no such venomous daughter and severed ties with me. I moved out of the Duke's residence, and several of my younger sisters quickly followed suit, cutting ties with our father and moving out with me. I purchased Prince Xiangyang's villa, and while moving my belongings in, even a porter attempted to assassinate me. They claimed it was out of disdain for me, but in truth, they were sent by He Qingyuan. He Qingyuan even conspired with my father, plotting to send me to barbaric lands under the pretext of my various misdeeds. Through past lives and present, they've only ever resorted to such filthy tactics. Then I shall begin my counterattack. Seeing me driven out of the mansion, I had no choice but to lie low. Coincidentally, it was just then that He Qingwan's birthday arrived. He Qingyuan held a grand birthday banquet for her. The Duke's residence was adorned with red decorations, bustling with extraordinary liveliness, to showcase He Qingwan's beauty and kindness. He Qingyuan specially set up several tables to entertain commoners. She wore a goose-yellow pleated skirt, greeting guests with shy yet graceful composure. Suddenly sixth sister loudly argued with fourth sister. You're talking nonsense, though big brother and second sister often kiss. It's definitely not the kind of relationship you're implying. Both their faces were flushed crimson, seemingly drunk. Fourth sister refused to back down. If it's not that kind of relationship, then why did Big Brother hide second sister's red mandarin duck belly band inside his inner garments? And I heard second sister tell Big Brother that her thing with that Mr. Ma was just playing along, that her heart belongs only to Big Brother. Sixth sister said, what does that prove? I have all my sisters in my heart too. Fourth sister retorted urgently, you may have us in your heart, but do you know what shape my butt is? Brother said second sister's bottom is as round as a ball. Dead silence fell all around. He Qingwan suddenly let out a shriek and lunged at fourth sister to hit her. The crowd immediately descended into chaos. Amidst the confusion, someone tore He Qingyuan's clothes, causing her crimson mandarin duck undergarment to fall to the ground. The crowd fell silent once more. The chief minister of the Court of Judicial Review was the first to step forward. This humble official has urgent matters at home and must take his leave. Next came the Minister of Revenue, the Vice Minister of War. Everyone had left. The rumors circulating among the people became reality. Even dogs detoured around the entrance of the Duke's residence. Moreover, He Qingwan had often relied on He Qingyuan's influence to bully the daughters of minor officials. Those doting fathers who spoiled their daughters suddenly found an opening. They fiercely submitted memorials accusing my father of failing to discipline his children properly, and denounced He Qingyuan for corrupting the capital with debauchery. The common people had never tasted such juicy gossip before. They couldn't stop talking about it even during meals. OMG, incest with her own brother. I thought someone was just making it up. She even deliberately bruised her own face to frame the daughter of the Minister of Revenue for bullying her. You don't understand, do you? This is what they call you can't catch a wolf without sacrificing a child. So when your talents can't measure up, you resort to smearing others, is that it? Amidst the murmurs, a young woman of 18 or 19 in a short cotton jacket stepped forward. She lived in the mountains with her elderly mother, making a living by gathering medicinal herbs. That day, she accidentally stepped on a serrated iron animal trap. The wound was deep enough to expose bone. It was me who discovered her while stealing beef jerky. He immediately gave her all the beef jerky to replenish her energy, then carried her step by step down the mountain to the clinic. The mountain path was treacherous, and the veins on my forehead bulged from the strain of carrying her, yet I never stopped moving forward. The woman said, I came down the mountain knowing my benefactor loves ginseng, so I specially sought out this king of ginseng to deliver. Little did I expect to hear of your wrongful accusation as soon as I entered the city. The capital's citizens have another digital snack to chew on. Wow, this is about Hichinga, the one Hichingwan tearfully accused of bullying her. Hichinga must have been starving to steal that beef jerky, yet gave it away to others. What a kind soul. Hichingwan's nothing but a liar. She claims Borderlands had food shortages, yet studied Guqin for years. Ridiculous. Hichingwan's incest with her brother was probably exposed by Hichinga. That's why they're crushing her. Then I brought back a heavyweight figure, Hichingwan's birth mother. Back then, to ensure her smooth entry into the duke's residence, Hichingwan forced her mother to cut off her right ear, which bore a birthmark, to win their father's sympathy. Next is Hiching. Over the years, he has been buying and selling official positions, forming cliques for personal gain. Most crucially, he secretly buried a large amount of gunpowder beneath the dam in Lincheng, intending to blow it up and cause a flood. Then, the third prince would step forward to lead disaster relief efforts, winning the people's favor. Lord Hai managed to evade multiple assassination attempts solely because of my meticulous arrangements. Of course, Ma Zhuming played his part too. I exposed his true origins to the world. Turns out he was the product of his father raping his widowed sister-in-law, and had been raised at the frontier all along. To enter the Ma family, he dug up his mother's ashes, threatening his father that if he wasn't allowed to acknowledge his ancestry, he would expose his father's misdeeds, exchanging his own mother's eternal peace for wealth and glory. I spent lavishly on storytellers, commissioning them to turn these individuals' illustrious deeds into tales recited daily. Thanks to their habitual arrogance and bullying, they had stirred up widespread resentment among the people. Impeachment memorials fluttered onto the emperor's desk like snowflakes. By the time they sought to salvage the situation, it was already too late. Hichingwan appeared utterly deranged. Her years of meticulous scheming for the legitimate daughter's position had all come to naught in this final moment. Hiching-Yuan's heart ached for her and decided to take a gamble. Mimicking his past life by slipping aphrodisiacs into my food, I covertly transferred it into his own bowl instead. By the time father discovered what had happened, his precious son and daughter were already high as kites. As the saying goes, seeing is believing. He was so furious he suffered a stroke on the spot. For the rest of my life, I'll only be able to drool with a twisted mouth and squinted eyes. Never imagined such an ending. Are my family members satisfied now? On the day Hiching-Yuan was taken away by the Dali Temple, grandmother struck his name from the clan registry. He couldn't believe his ears and shouted at his grandmother angrily. Grandmother, I'm your grandson. I'm the only one who can carry on the He family line. Have you gone mad? His grandmother retorted indignantly. The family line should be carried on by worthy descendants. There's no need for a lineage that would disgrace our ancestors. It's all your father's fault for spoiling you rotten and letting you run wild. The emperor has already bestowed upon Chinga the title of Junju, princess. She's far more accomplished than you. Indeed. My father and brother belonged to the third prince's faction and committed such reckless acts as attempting to blow up the dam, crimes that should have warranted at least exile for our entire family. But my father had long since publicly severed ties with me, declaring me no longer his daughter. And it was I who escorted Lord Hai safely to the capital. The emperor is now grappling with how to deal with me at this moment. The Queen's Council ultimately led him to decide to confer upon me the title of princess. In the end, I managed to save my entire family. I went to the prison to see my beloved family members. Hiching-Yuan was like a wild beast trapped in a cage, furious yet powerless. He gripped the railing tightly. Glaring at me, feigning sorrow, I said, "Big brother, looking at little sister like this truly breaks her heart." Then I laughed. "Big brother, you didn't actually think I spent these 3 years chanting sutras and praying for your long life, did you? For these 3 years, I've ostensibly lived as a lay Buddhist while secretly gathering evidence of their crimes. I believe that people capable of blowing up a dam and drowning thousands in floods would harbor even greater evils lurking in the shadows. My suspicions proved correct. Brother, you've always prided yourself as the sole male heir destined to inherit the ducal title, committing every imaginable wickedness. Our father was luckier than you. As the only son of his generation, his only crime was being sufficiently foolish. Luckily, I'm not like you." I went to see Ma Zhuming again. He stood behind the bars, his face obscured in shadow. Only a faint voice was heard. "It's not like this," I asked. "Not what?" he said. "The Ma family should be mine. We were already betrothed." I narrowed my eyes. He had been reborn too, only, the timing was a bit late. Why did you stop talking? Did the world end after we got engaged? Not speaking? Then let me do it for you. You relied on me to secure the Ma family, then conspired with He Qingyuan and He Qingwan to ruin my reputation, and ultimately killed me. He fell silent again, growing impatient. I stood up to leave, he said hoarsely. A long time later, I regretted it. Regretted that after I died, He Qingyuan wasn't as useful as me. Trash like you pretending to be sentimental, your only use is like night soil, good for fertilizing the land. He Qingwan hadn't committed any direct offense. I had originally planned to abandon her in some desolate place to fend for herself, but her mother, missing an ear, pleaded with me desperately. My lady, please let me take this child away. He Qingwan, with disheveled hair and a face twisted in madness, screamed, no, I won't go. I refused to return to that hellish place. I'm the legitimate daughter of the Duke's household. Seeing me, the genuine legitimate daughter, standing at the door, she rushed over intending to tear me apart. Her mother delivered a fierce slap across her face, knocking her unconscious instantly. Until the moment her eyes closed, she never stopped glaring at me with pure hatred. I sighed and cut off her right ear, letting her mother take it back to the border. This is for your mother's sake. She was also forced by my father back then. If you set foot in the capital again, I'll kill you on the spot. This year's spring arrived unusually early. Qingzi successfully gave birth to twins. Seems my 1,000-year ginseng wasn't wasted after all. Minister Hai was promoted to Right Assistant Censor-in-Chief of the Censorate, but before assuming office, he was reassigned as Right Vice Minister of Personnel, a third-rank position. More common folk will be blessed. The sunlight was soft and dazzling, willow branches swaying in the breeze. I savored the beef jerky. The cook's skills had improved remarkably, and so the first story ends. What do you all think? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed it, please give this video a like. Now, here's the second story. To ensure my stepsister could marry into the Eastern Palace, my father didn't hesitate to hire an outsider to ruin my virtue that day. My father tricked me into going to the temple's back mountain, and my innocence was utterly lost. When my father brought people to find me, there wasn't a single patch of unblemished skin left on my body. When my father saw my pitiful state, he heartbrokenly took me back to the mansion, swearing he would avenge me and would beg the emperor to grant me the title of county princess. My newly appointed top scholar brother rushed to shield me from the storm, preventing others from seeing the disheveled state of this prime minister's legitimate daughter. Seeing me faint, my brother lowered his voice and said to our father, "Father, wasn't arranging for someone to defile Qianqian going too far, even if you want Yingying to become the crown princess? Surely we didn't need to go to such extremes. There was no other way. Qianqian far surpasses Yingying in both lineage and talent, to make the imperial family choose Yingying. Qianqian had to have an irredeemable flaw. I had to do this for Yingying's sake. As for Qianqian, I'll find a way to make it up to her." I tightly shut my eyes, afraid that even a single tear might escape. I thought I was the cherished eldest daughter, but it turns out I was just a clownish fool. "Father, the grand princess has arrived with her entourage. Should we avoid them? If the princess finds out about Qianqian, she'll be ruined. She might not even survive." "No need. We want people to know. This is the only way to cut off Qianqian's path to becoming crown princess." My brother seemed to cast a reluctant glance at me, as if wanting to say something, but Qianqian, before he could utter another word, father interrupted him. "We must utterly ruin her reputation and cut off her path. Only then, for the sake of securing a royal marriage alliance, will your mother devote herself to nurturing Yingying. Only then can Yingying ascend step by step, first as crown princess, then empress, and finally empress dowager. Qianqian has enjoyed enough love these past few years. It's time to compensate Yingying." In the end, my brother chose silence, amidst the clamor of the bustling street. He rode his horse while holding me, and we encountered the eldest princess. "Greetings, Your Highness the princess." My brother helped me dismount and bowed to the princess, while my father stepped down from the carriage behind us to pay his respects. "Well, if it isn't the newly appointed top scholar, and who might this noble maiden be in your arms? Quite the romantic young gentleman, aren't you?" the princess teased with amusement. My brother seemed startled, almost accidentally tugging off the veil covering my face. Isn't this your family's eldest young miss? She looks positively ravished." To my surprise, my brother said, "Your Highness, please calm your anger. My sister encountered ruffians and is unwell, so she cannot properly greet you." With these words, he confirmed my identity. His statement took the princess by surprise. She had expected him to evade the matter, but instead, he openly admitted it. Stirring murmurs among the surrounding onlookers. Has the eldest Miss Shin been defiled? How bold these scoundrels are, daring to lay hands on the eldest Miss Shin, judging by how things are going. The eldest Miss Shin definitely has no hope in this selection. Father walked forward sorrowfully and said to the princess, "Your Highness, my daughter has been harmed by villains. I will surely seek revenge for this in the future. For now, I must return to the mansion to tend to her injuries." With just a few words from my father and brother, they thrust me into the eye of the storm. In the time it takes to drink a cup of tea, the entire capital would know, the eldest Miss Shin, the tacitly acknowledged future crown princess, had lost her purity and become the talk of the town. By the time we returned to the mansion, I had already fallen into a deep coma. I am the legitimate eldest daughter of the Shin family, although my mother's health has been poor since giving birth to me, forcing her to recuperate long-term at my maternal grandfather's home in Jiangnan. My father doted on me and my brother spoiled me, from childhood. Father hired excellent tutors to teach me literature, music, household management, needlework, and more, so I always believed they loved me. Unfortunately, that was merely my own delusion. Now, I'm just a pitiful creature standing in someone else's way. After tending to my wounds and lying in bed, I gazed at Father's reddened eyes by my bedside and stared at his incessantly moving lips. Not a single word reached my ears. I couldn't discern how much of their concern was genuine and how much was pretense. While they were fussing over me, the steward's loud voice suddenly came from outside the door. "Master, something terrible has happened." Father patted my head and said to me, "Qian, rest well. Father will go see what's happening. No matter what, remember you'll always be Father's most beloved daughter." With that, he turned and left. The room fell into silence. Perhaps even brother felt the situation had become somewhat awkward, as he reached to tuck me in. The long-ignored pain seemed to awaken abruptly. Unable to control myself, I trembled and whispered, "Brother, it hurts." Tears streamed down uncontrollably. Brother couldn't hold back his sobs and promised me, "I will definitely avenge you, rest well now." Then he rose abruptly and fled the room as if escaping. At night, after I fell asleep, I vaguely sensed my father and brother outside my bedroom window. They spoke in hushed tones, but their words sent me plunging into an icy abyss. Qian has already suffered so much. Must we still spread those rumors? Hearing this, Qian was stunned. What else was there to spread? She had already been violated and could no longer participate in the selection process. She was no longer blocking Shin Yingying's path. Surely her father would let her go now. Yet moments later, she heard her father's resolute voice, "Spread them. We must ruin her reputation completely. Losing her virtue isn't enough. The world must know she was caught willingly meeting a man in secret, so that when people mention her in the future, she won't be seen as a victim, but as someone shameless. Only then can Yingying's path be smoother." I curled up on the bed, trembling all over. She couldn't believe her doting father could say such things. Did he really want her to become universally condemned? Qian has already lost her purity. If these rumors spread further, how can she go on living? She must be stripped of all leverage, not a shred of feminine weakness left. I absolutely won't allow her any opportunity. If Qian ever finds out that we were behind all this, then, Big Brother sounded reluctant. "There's no way she'll know. She's the one we love most. Don't you understand? Let's go check on Qian." Hearing this, I quickly lay still. The bedroom door creaked softly, and soon I sensed their footsteps approaching my bedside. They didn't say a word, just stood there quietly for a while, sighed, then turned and left. It wasn't until they had been gone for a long time that I slowly opened my eyes. Lying in bed, I looked at the bizarrely shaped stones my father and brother had collected and given me because they thought I'd like them. And tears began streaming uncontrollably down my face. Were those who loved me really as I imagined them to be? My brother truly lived up to being the top scholar, decisive and efficient in handling matters. I had just woken up in the morning when I noticed the maid beside me hesitating, as if she had something to say but was holding back. I quickly realized. News of my secret meeting with an outsider must have spread through every street and alley of the capital. "Go on, what happened?" "Young miss, outside, everyone is saying." "What's the rumor? Spit it out." "They're saying you were caught by your own father yesterday, having an affair with some rogue at the temple. And what else?" "Out with it." The maid, fearing my wrath, dropped to her knees with a thud, weeping as she spoke. "They say you're shameless and wicked-hearted. That even the poems you recite at banquets were all ghost-written beforehand." Hearing this, I felt a surge of blood rushing to my head and fainted. Qian, my brother's voice called out. Just like when he used to take me out to play as a child, but I woke up. Soon, father also returned from court. listening to him say, "Qian, it's all right, Qian, Daddy will take care of all these matters, no matter what happens, you'll always be Daddy's most beloved daughter." Hearing these words, I inexplicably felt nauseous and vomited everything I had eaten since waking up in the morning, gazing at my family members standing beside me, watching me intently. I couldn't help but wonder, why were they so determined to utterly destroy me? Was it all just to secure Shen Yingying's position as the crown princess? And so I lay on the bed in a daze, unaware of how much time had passed, uncertain if they'd come to see me again, unable to remember when I'd last eaten anything. The young mistress is suffering from depressive disorder caused by emotional stagnation and blocked qi circulation. The elderly imperial physician explained to the father and son standing nearby, "I'll prescribe some medicine, but what's most important is helping her regain emotional ease." The father and son looked at me, how rapidly I'd wasted away in just a few days, and upon hearing the physician's diagnosis, who knows what they truly thought? Outwardly, at least, they appeared deeply concerned for her. After watching me finish the medicine, the father and son left the room, each going about their own business. Once they were gone, I took a deep breath and silently thought to myself, it's come to this in the end. It wasn't until evening that father realized I was missing. After searching the entire mansion without finding me, he finally understood I might have left. He hurried out to gather information, and eventually, a young beggar told them I had gone south through the city gates. The carriage jolted along, yet my heart remained calm. By the time father caught up, I was lying by the riverside, with a gentle breeze blowing and cicadas chirping incessantly. In that moment, I felt as though I had shed the identity of Miss Shen entirely. "Qian, don't do anything rash." Father grabbed me tightly, probably thinking I was about to take my own life. Seeing my indifferent expression, brother quickly stepped forward and said, "Qian, I've already arranged for someone to clarify those malicious rumors outside. Don't worry. Everything will be better in the future." Clarify? How could that be possible? They've already destroyed the most important things for a woman, her purity and reputation. This so-called clarification now? Is it because I'm no longer an obstacle to Shen Yingying in my current state? Brother, there's no need. I don't care about any of it anymore. With that, I turned to leave, never expecting my brother would knock me unconscious. When I came to, I found myself back at the Shen residence. I couldn't comprehend their reasoning. Since I'd lost all value to them, why wasn't I even allowed to leave? A maid announced, "Miss, the master, young master, and second miss are here to see you." "I don't want to see them. Send them away." "Sister, I heard you were ill, so I begged father and brother to bring me to see you." They seemed not to have heard my refusal at all. Her voice carried through before they'd even entered the room. "My stepsister Shen Yingying is my father's second daughter. 2 years younger than me. Her birth mother was father's childhood sweetheart, but her maternal family fell into ruin early on, making her status unworthy to match father's. In the end, she could only enter our household as a concubine in a modest sedan chair. While my mother was pregnant with me, her mother entered the household and quickly won father's favor. My mother became deeply melancholic throughout her pregnancy, and her difficult labor while giving birth to me ruined her health. Later, grandfather took her back to our ancestral home in Jiangnan to recuperate. My elder brother probably started growing close to Shen Yingying around that time under father's influence. Noticing my indifferent expression, Shen Yingying deliberately put on a show of concern before everyone, offering to feed me medicine with a smile on her face. But no matter how you looked at it, that smile reeked of falseness. Seeing that I didn't want to engage with her, she happily continued boasting. "Sister, do you know, yesterday Crown Prince sent me a jade pendant with mandarin ducks carved on it. What do you think he meant by that?" Previously, the Crown Prince and Shen Yingying had never been in contact. Now that something happened to me, progress was made immediately. Father's arrangements were indeed thorough. Father and elder brother stood awkwardly nearby, looking utterly at a loss, when the steward happened to arrive. "Master, young master. His Majesty summons you both to the palace." "Father, brother, go quickly. I'll stay here a while longer to keep sister company before leaving." Very well, very well. Your sister is in low spirits. Do comfort her properly." "Qian, you rest well and play with Yingying for a while. Your father and brother will go to the palace first. Don't worry, father. Don't you know me? I'll take good care of sister," Shen Yingying said considerately to her father, after seeing them all leave. Shen Yingying's smile turned sinister. "Sister, seeing you like this truly makes me happy. Before, you were so high and mighty, with family status, beauty, and talent. But now, you're just a pile of mud, worthless. Did you know? That man was actually just a beggar father randomly pulled off the street. While you were being violated by that beggar, father and brother were watching from not far away. Do you know where I was at that time? I went to the palace to pay respects to the Empress. This very set of jewelry I'm wearing now was bestowed upon me by Her Majesty. Shen was boasting to me, unaware that all of this had been witnessed by someone else. Watching Shen smug expression, I could barely restrain my urge to kill her. Yet she mistook my restraint for weakness and continued spewing words designed to provoke me. Shen, looking at you now, honestly, you might as well just die. That way, I can rightfully become the eldest daughter of the Shen family. What do you think? If you want it, then take it. At this point, I've lost all hope for anyone in this household. All I yearn for is to leave this heartbreak of a home as soon as possible. Shen kept chattering on. Once you're gone, father will register me under your mother's name. Then I can marry into the Eastern Palace as the legitimate daughter of the Shen family. Everything you possess, I'll take it all away from you, piece by piece. As for you, you'll be driven out of the house and married off to that beggar, living as a beggar's wife for the rest of your life. Actually, father didn't originally intend to be this cruel. He initially planned to find you a minor official son to marry, so you'd at least have food and clothing secured. But I wouldn't allow it. It was me who made father choose a beggar, just so you'd never have peace. Do you know how jealous I've been of you since childhood? Watching you receive so much affection from everyone, while me, even father's love had to be stolen in secret. Actually, big brother didn't like me at first either, but I knew how to please him, how to play weak in front of him. Now you've seen it too. He finally chose me over you. Watching Shen smug smile, fury surged through me. I slapped her and had the maids escort her out. Shen, how dare you? I'll make sure you pay for this. That evening, as I was packing my things, my father and brother burst into my room in a rage. How could you be so cruel? You've swollen Ying's face with that slap. What do you even want? Didn't we promise to compensate you? Hearing these words, my tears instantly fell. Never did I imagine that the first person to call me vicious would be my own blood brother, the same brother who had doted on and loved me since childhood, who once called me his fairy. Even my father chimed in. Chan, we always thought you were sensible. Ying is your sister. She's had a harder life than you since she was little. What's wrong with letting her have her way? How could you be so cruel? With that, they glanced at me and turned to leave, never bothering to ask why I was packing my things so late at night. I crouched down, hugging myself tightly, silently repeating in my heart, from today onward, I no longer have a father or a brother. Farewell, my father, farewell, my brother. Mother and I reunited at the villa outside the city. Gently stroking my hair, she said, you are my daughter. I won't allow anyone to defeat you, not even yourself. When father noticed my disappearance again, he didn't take it seriously, merely sending men to search along the same southern route as before. Meanwhile in the imperial court, Your Majesty, urgent news from the frontier, the barbarian armies of Shiliang have invaded, and we've already lost 3 border cities. The court erupted in chaos as ministers whispered among themselves. The emperor glared at his murmuring officials and shouted, silence. Then he turned, Prime Minister Shen, what is your counsel? This humble minister believes we must dispatch troops immediately to suppress the rebellion and stabilize the situation. Then have the Minister of War muster the troops and set off within 3 days. The emperor waved his hand dismissively. Hold, a voice rang out. It was Zhao Mingyuan, Minister of Revenue, stepping forward. Your Majesty, though the border crisis is urgent, our treasury is depleted. Last year's southern rebellion was just quelled, and this year Jiangnan suffered floods, forcing us to waive this year's taxes. I fear military provisions cannot be supplied promptly. Dispatch reinforcements to the border immediately. We cannot let the Shiliang army advance southward into our territory. As for provisions, we will find a solution swiftly, the emperor said, rubbing the ring on his finger. Your servant obeys the decree, Chancellor Shen. Stay a moment, the emperor said, fiddling with the thumb ring on his finger. At the villa outside the city, mother picked up a cup of tea and said calmly, do you know, this war is entirely your father's doing. Without waiting for my shocked reaction, she continued, years ago, I accidentally discovered a merchant caravan trading large quantities of grain with the Shiliang people, which caught my attention. Since then, I've been keeping an eye on this caravan. Later, I found out it was your father behind it. Some time ago, their traded goods changed from grain to weapons, and then I knew war was coming. Mother, what should we do now? Wait for the right moment. Upon returning to his residence, Minister Shin was still pondering his earlier conversation with the emperor. Minister Shin, I heard you have a concubine surnamed Lu. Was she your childhood sweetheart? Your Majesty, this humble subject has no childhood sweetheart. I only have one concubine surnamed Lu. I wonder if your Majesty refers to her. No, you may withdraw. It grew dark, yet he didn't have anyone light the lamps, sitting quietly in his study instead. Had the emperor discovered Madame Lu's existence, bringing it up now, did that mean he'd already uncovered more information? No sooner had this thought surfaced than he suppressed it. The emperor couldn't possibly know. Everyone who knew about this matter back then was already dead. Even the emperor wouldn't be able to uncover it. Early the next morning, someone came to report, the second young miss has arrived. Father, you and brother haven't come to see me in so long. I've missed you both terribly, Shin Yingying cooed playfully. Yingying, your father has been swamped with official duties lately and truly couldn't find the time, Shin Xiaotang replied, rubbing his temples wearily. Shin Yingying affectionately clung to her father's arm. Daddy, I know you're busy. But isn't that why I came to see you? Where's brother? It feels like ages since I last saw him. Your brother went out looking for your sister. He should be returning to the manor soon. Sister is truly inconsiderate. With father and brother so busy right now, she still has to cause trouble. That's right, you're the good one. Our Yingying is always the most thoughtful. Shin Yingying rolled her eyes and probed cautiously. Father, do you think sister might spill the beans about what we've done? Shin Xiaotong's face darkened abruptly, his tone turning severe. She wouldn't dare. If she truly dares to spout nonsense, she'd be disregarding the family's reputation. Just as they were speaking, the steward rushed in. Master, young miss, the young master has returned, and the eldest miss, did she come back with him? Shin Xiaotang asked anxiously. Seeing the hesitant butler, he understood and waved him away. Father, I'm back. So, have you found Shanqian? Elder brother shook his head gently. Father, I traveled far along the road to Jiangnan but found not a single trace of Shanqian. Where on earth has that girl run off to? Never mind. I'll deal with her later. Shin Xiaotang paced around the underground chamber twice before slowly settling into his chair, apparently deep in thought. Standing nearby, Shin Yingying and Shin Yifeng exchanged bewildered glances. Suddenly sitting upright, Shin Xiaotang declared, Yingying, you may retire now. Your brother and I have official matters to attend to. Yes, father, your daughter will take her leave now. Shin Yingying responded obediently. Though she kept glancing back every few steps as she left, curious about what matters her father and brother needed to discuss, only when Shin Yingying's figure had disappeared into the distance did Shin Xiaotang rise and walk to the door. He carefully checked that no one was around before slowly closing it. Turning to face Shin Yifeng, his expression grew solemn. Yifeng, the current situation is critical. Your sister's disappearance is minor compared to the greater troubles brewing at court. Shen Yifeng's heart tightened instinctively. Father, he asked urgently, does this concern the border conflicts? Principal Shin let out a long sigh and sat back down. The emperor has grown suspicious of me. Today in court, he detained me alone to inquire about concubine Lu's matter. Though I managed to evade his questions, I still can't rest easy. Shin Yifeng frowned slightly. Concubine Lu, what does this have to do with her? Principal Shin sighed deeply, lost in memories. Back then, Concubine Lu and I were childhood sweethearts, and our families had long arranged our marriage. Unexpectedly, her family was implicated in rebellion, and all were executed. I begged your grandfather to save your aunt. Later, for the sake of my career, I married your mother. Over the years, I've always feared something might happen to her, never allowing her to leave the house. I never imagined this matter would come to the emperor's attention. He likely suspects me of treasonous intentions. Hearing this, his elder brother felt a tumult of emotions, shocked by his father's past yet deeply troubled by the current precarious situation. After a moment of silence, he spoke, Father, what should we do now? If Aunt Lu's matter is confirmed, it could bring great disaster upon our Shin family. Shin Xiaotang frowned deeply. Many at court were watching him closely these days. If someone were to seize upon this weakness, they would surely make a big issue of it. After a moment's thought, he immediately decided, Hey Feng, go to concubine Lu's place right now and have her moved to a remote estate. Tell everyone it's Chanqian. Remember, you must be careful not to let anyone notice. Also, dismiss all her maids and have them sold far away through a slave broker. My brother nodded in agreement and promptly turned to leave. At this moment, I was lying on a recliner in the courtyard, feeling the gentle breeze and savoring the rare tranquility I hadn't experienced in such a long time. Looking at my mother sitting under the corridor not far away, her face appeared calm, but I knew her heart was turbulent with waves as she plotted revenge for me. A maid hurried over, whispered a few words in Mother's ear, and then withdrew. Mother came and sat beside me, taking my hand gently as she said, "Qian, we've just received word. Your father has sent your brother to settle concubine Lu. The opportunity we've been waiting for has finally arrived." Hearing this, I immediately sat up and met Mother's resolute gaze. "Mother, my vengeance can finally be realized. I've already sent Shadow to follow them. Once we know their whereabouts, it'll be easy to proceed. Father holds immense power now. Can any of this truly shake him? If he's already begun relocating concubine Lu, it means His Majesty has started suspecting him. Moreover, with war looming and his continued ties to the northern faction, this is something the Emperor will never tolerate." Mother patted my hand and continued, "Qian, trust me, I will make sure he pays the price." Before long, Shadow returned. "Madam, young miss, the young master has taken concubine Lu to reside in a manor at the foot of Western Hills outside the city. The estate is now heavily guarded. Take more men with you then. After the young master leaves, secure that village. Not a single whisper must escape." "Yes, madam." His figure promptly vanished into the boundless night. Xin Xiaotang attended court as usual, yet today, an inexplicable unease lingered in his heart. At the announcement of "the Emperor arrives," everyone promptly knelt in salute. Once seated, the Emperor's expression was terrifyingly grim. His gaze swept across the assembled officials before finally settling on Xin Xiaotang. Xin's heart skipped a beat, a foreboding sense of dread surged within him. The censor stepped forward and declared loudly, "Your Majesty, this subject has a matter to report. Recently, I received confidential intelligence that Chancellor Xin has been colluding with the traitorous Lu family from years past. Not only has he taken their daughter into his household as a concubine, but he has also used the Lu family's merchant caravans to secretly conspire with the barbarians of Xiliang, leading to their southern invasion and the suffering of countless innocent lives. Such crimes provoke outrage from both gods and men." As soon as these words were spoken, the ministers began whispering among themselves, exchanging shocked murmurs. Xin Xiaotang's face instantly turned deathly pale. He hurriedly defended himself. "Your Majesty, this is pure slander." "Censorly. How dare you make baseless accusations?" The censor glanced at him coldly before presenting a document. "Your Majesty, here is the evidence I have gathered. It meticulously records Chancellor Xin's transactions with Xiliang, exchanges of provisions and military equipment, as well as the current whereabouts of his concubine, Lady Lu. Every entry, every word, stands as irrefutable proof." The Emperor took the evidence, his brow furrowing deeper with each passing moment. After reading it, he slammed the document onto the ground and roared, "Xin Xiaotang, what do you have to say for yourself?" Xin Xiaotang's legs gave way beneath him, and he collapsed to his knees with a thud, his voice trembling with desperation. "Your Majesty, I am wronged. This must be a deliberate frame-up, meant to destroy me. I beg your Majesty to investigate thoroughly." Yet before the Emperor could respond, several more ministers stepped forward, one after another, accusing Xin Xiaotang of his crimes. The Minister of Revenue also stepped forward and said, "Your Majesty, since the outbreak of war on the frontier, the national treasury has been depleted. However, upon reviewing the accounts recently, I discovered multiple unexplained outflows of funds. It now appears that all these funds have likely ended up lining Minister Xin's pockets, used for his disgraceful dealings with Xiliang." The Vice Minister of Rights also chimed in, "Your Majesty, I have heard that Minister Xin went to unscrupulous lengths to ensure his concubine-born daughter by Lady Lu could marry into the Eastern Palace, even going so far as to ruin the virtue of his legitimate eldest daughter. Such behavior violates all moral principles. He is unfit to be a father, let alone a high-ranking court official." Upon hearing this, the Emperor flew into a rage and immediately ordered, "Guards, take Xin Xiaotang to prison to await trial." The Imperial Guards are to proceed at once to the Xin residence and confiscate all property at the Xin residence. As soon as the news arrived, the once orderly household descended into chaos. Servants scrambled to grab gold, silver, and valuables in their desperate attempts to flee. Upon hearing the news, Xin Yingying immediately packed some jewelry, changed into servant's clothing, hoping to deceive everyone and escape amidst the chaos. But how could I let her have her way? I was already waiting at the Xin residence gate. The moment I saw her, I took her away immediately. Seeing her still struggling, I simply had Shadow knock her out with a slap. Back at the villa, looking at Xin Yingying sprawled on the ground, her former arrogance had completely vanished. replaced now by panic and fear. Sister, please spare me. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated you that way. I beg you, for the sake of our sisterhood, forgive me. A sisterly bond, when you, father and brother, were ruthlessly destroying my innocence. Why didn't you think about our sisterly bond then? Didn't you always dream of marrying into the Eastern Palace? Go plead with the Empress now. Aren't you close with the Crown Prince? Why don't you ask him if he'd ever consider taking the daughter of a traitor? Watching her tears fall, not an ounce of hatred faded from my heart. I threw her into the firewood shed and ordered strict surveillance. I bribed my way into the prison cell where my father was held. The man who once strode through court halls with proud vigor now sat with disheveled hair, clad in prisoner's garb, looking like nothing more than a drowned dog. A flicker of delight flashed through his eyes when he saw me. Chan. His voice was hoarse. I stood silently, gazing at him through the bars. What was once familial affection now lay in tatters. Father, so you've come to this day. Do you still remember how utterly hopeless I felt when you pushed me into the abyss with your own hands? Chan, your father was wrong. I've failed you. His voice trembled with tears, yet my heart remained untouched. Wrong? What exactly were you wrong about? It's me who was wrong? Wrong to stand in the way of Shen Yingying's bright future. No, Chan, don't say that. Your father loves you. I'll make it up to you. Who needs your compensation? All I want now is your death. I said through clenched teeth. He looked up in disbelief. No, Chan, Yingying is your sister. For the sake of how much your father used to dote on you, please spare Yingying. I never expected that even at this point, he could still ask me to spare Shen Yingying. My already shattered heart discovered it could hurt even more. Was it because I still held some hope for him? Meeting his expectant gaze, I smiled. Father, this is the last time I'll call you that. I once believed you loved me. But later I realized, because you couldn't openly spoil Shen Yingying, you projected your paternal love onto me. Now I've awakened, love shouldn't be begged from others. I must love myself more, so no, I won't return good for evil. You don't know yet, do you? It was all my mother's and my doing that you could live here. With that, she gave him a provocative smile. He was shocked. You bitch. How could you lay hands on your own father? Heaven won't spare you. Yes, not only can I send you away, but I can also send my brother and Shen Yingying away too. As for whether heaven will spare me, I don't know, but it certainly won't spare you. With those words, I turned and walked away with a smile, but no one could see the tears slipping from the corners of my eyes. The next time I saw my brother was when the emperor decreed the execution of the entire Shen family. Upon seeing me, he grew agitated, gripping the bars of the prison cart tightly with both hands. Chan, I'm sorry. He wept as he apologized to me. I watched him silently, my heart utterly unmoved. The brother who had once cherished me dearly had somehow drifted far away long ago. I watched their heads fall, severing my nightmares along with them. My maternal grandfather donated substantial amounts of gold, silver, and grain to help the imperial court alleviate the supply shortages at the frontier. This act further elevated our family's prestige in Jiangnan, and the emperor even considered bestowing upon me the title of Junzhu, a noble rank for women. However, my mother, wishing to shield me from those memories, declined the honor on behalf of the Shen family. Later, mother and I returned to our ancestral home in Jiangnan. During this period of recuperation, I developed a deep fascination with medicine. With mother's encouragement, I gradually began studying medical arts, embarking on a new chapter of life. The end.